faqs.sg, we make technology accessible. This is the second part of the answer to how to do multi-staking for NFT, and display only 10 NFTs for each page. We linked the first part at the end of this video, so watch that if you have not done so. For today, we will finish the remaining parts by adding on the dynamic containers that will contain the NFT image and button, as well as the multi-staking button. Now, let's get started. We will first show you what our end product for the display of NFTs shall be. We want to restrict the number of dynamic containers, and hence NFTs, to be only 10 per page. The NFT IDs shown will be dependent by the left and right button that we created in our previous video. Please ignore the repeating images as I repeated the same images a few times in the NFT collection. Anyway, as you can see here, there are only 10 NFTs being shown in the first page. However, as I click on the right button, you can see that the number of NFTs shown here has changed, and there are only 3 NFT images in the second page. This means that I own a total of 13 NFTs. So how do we achieve this? We will first teach you how to add the formula onto containers, so that it becomes dynamic, and each NFT token ID is represented with one container, where only 10 are shown each time. From the previous video, we created left and right buttons that will output tracking numbers, where the values will be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and so on. This will continue, but not exceed the total number of NFTs owned. In the example shown previously, since I have 13 NFTs, it will output 0 and 10, and nothing beyond that. We also have 2 functions we can use. One is the token of owner by index. If we provide the owner's wallet address and the index n of the NFT we want, it will output the NFT ID at index n. We also have the balance of function. This gives the total number of NFTs a user owns, which in this case is 13. Lists use indexes to access and refer to their elements. Solidity, the main language for blockchains, practices zero-based indexing. This means that the index of the first element in the list is 0, and the index of the 10th element in the list is 9. Hence, the first and last index of our page 1, would be 0 and 9 respectively. You will also notice that the tracking numbers 0, 10 etc. also happen to be the number of the first index of the items list of each page. Now how do we get the last index of the 10 items for the pages? You can see here that it will either be the tracking number plus 9 if it doesn't exceed the total number of NFTs, or it is the total number of NFTs minus 1 if it is the last page. Hence, we would be using this condition to check and output the last indexes of each page. We will be coding this condition here. Then, since we have the first and last index numbers, we can generate a list of numbers between the first and last index of each page like this. This will provide us the list of index positions of the NFTs that we want for each page. Once we have a list of the NFT indexes, we can then call the token of owner by index function for each of the indexes. This will output the NFT token ID, which is what we want. This will be the output of what we have done earlier. Each NFT token ID will be represented by one container, where the NFT image linked to the NFT ID will be shown. Now let's get started on coding this up. Here is an empty container and an empty row. Click on the empty container, then go to General Styles. Scroll down and find number of instances, and choose Dynamic. The formula screen will appear. I will just straight up say the functions I am adding, and then I will explain the rationale at the end when I am done, so please bear with me. Find the function called mapList via a function. The list would be the list of positive numbers between two positive numbers. The smaller number will be the tracking number variable. This can be found under the own variables tab. Find the if, then, else function. The reason we are doing so is because the larger number will be dependent on the condition on whether adding 10 to the current tracking number will exceed the balance of the current user. We will code the condition accordingly, by using the greater than or equals function, the add individual numbers function and the balance of function to compare with. If it is true that adding 10 would exceed the number of NFTs the user has, then we want the larger number to be the index of the last NFT in the list. This would correspond to the NFT balance of the user, -1. Hence, that is why we found the subtract function, and -1 from the balance of the NFTs a user owns. This is also as the index starts from 0. This means that a user can own 30 NFTs, but the index of the last NFT in the list is 29. If it is false, that adding 10 would exceed the number of NFTs the user has, then we can safely add 9 to the current tracking number. Do note that the reason for this is because the function is to make a list of positive numbers between two positive numbers and it is inclusive rather than exclusive. Hence, the bigger number is included. This is why we use 9, as for example, 0 to 9 will give us 10 numbers. We have now coded what we wanted from the earlier 2 slides here, as we have found the last index and created a list of the NFT indexes. Now that we have our list of NFT indexes, we want to get their specific token IDs. Hence, the function we map to the list is token of owner by index, where the owner is the current user and the index is the map variable from the list above. Once done, click Update Formula and it will close the formula screen. We will move to the next section. Adding variables to the empty container. Each container now has a NFT token ID attached to it. This, in our system, is called the governing value of the container, and we will be using this to add the relevant display and actions. To save time, what I have done here is that I have added a random image and a button with no actions attached to it into the container first to make it easier. I will show you how to show the correct NFT image given the NFT ID, as well as allow users to add the NFT ID to a list so that they can do multi-staking. Click on the image. Go to General Styles. Under Image, click on Use Formula instead. Find the image URI from token URI function. This will give us the image link if we input the token URI. However, what we have is the token ID. Hence find the token URI function from the NFT contract. This will output the token URI if we provide the token ID. Find the governing value of container. This will provide the current token ID of the container. Once done, click on Update Formula and close the formula screen. Next, we will be creating a staking list. This would be the input to our multi-staking function. It will be empty in the initial state, but will be populated as we click on the respective buttons of the NFT. However, we want to make sure that there will be no duplicates in the staking list. For example, the NFT token ID is appearing twice in the wrong example. We must implement a check to make sure that the token ID was not added already, before adding it in. Let us create the list. Go to the Definitions tab. Click on the Add Variable button. Let us call this variable staking list. Since we want a list, the type will be list. As it will consist of only token IDs, the list type will be positive integers. We will not have an initial value as we want the list to be empty from the start. Then, click on the button. Go to Actions on Click. Find the If, Then, Else condition. Next, click on Use Formula instead. The formula screen will appear. Under House Functions, find the isItem inside List function. The item will be the governing value of container, which is the token ID. The list will be the staking list variable. What we are doing here is to ask whether the token ID is already inside the staking list. We do not want to add the same token ID to the list multiple times. When done, click on Update Formula and close the formula screen. Click on If True. If it is true that the token ID is already in the staking list, then do nothing. Next, click on If False. Since the token ID is not in the staking list, we will add it in. Find the Add an Item onto a List function. The list will be the staking list variable. The value to push will be the token ID, which is the governing value of container. This part could be useful for your users if they want to know what are the token IDs being added to the staking list. The display here is a rich text formula for the staking list. You could use it to show users what are the current NFT token IDs in the staking list. The token IDs in the staking list are all in unsigned integer format as it was derived from the smart contract. What the map function here is doing is that taking each of the NFT IDs and applying the unsigned integer to text function so that we get a list of the NFT token IDs in text form instead. However, a rich text cannot show a list, it can only display text. Hence, we use the joiner list of text with a spacer, with the spacing being a comma and a space. This will convert the list of text to a single text string. You can apply the same logic to display the staking list however you want. Finally, we will move to the last section. How to use the multi-staking function. Again, to make things easier, I have added a button with no action next to the rich text in the previous section. Let us add an action. Click on the button, and go to Actions on click. Find the Set Approval for All function of the NFT function. This is because we need to seek approval to transfer the NFTs of the user to the staking contract. The operator is the staking contract address as we are granting permission to the staking contract. Click on Show Contract Addresses, then find your staking contract address. Set the approved option to True, as you want users to approve and grant permission. Next, click on If Succeed. Find the multiple stake function from the staking contract. You will notice the trigger options will appear. This helps check that the user has successfully approved the transfer of their NFTs. Find the Approval for All function. Next, the owner will be the current user. Click on Use Formula instead and close the screen since the default is current user. The operator is the same as previously, which is the staking address. Click on Show Contract Address and find the staking contract. Finally, the input of the multiple stake function will be the list of NFT IDs that the user wants to stake. That is the staking list. Choose Use Formula instead. Go to Own Variables and find the staking list variable. Done. Check out the first part here if you have not done so. See you again.